Good evening and welcome to Health Quest. I'm Deborah Arneson, your host for tonight, and we have with us once again the infamous Dr. Shambhu, who's visiting us from about Panchakarma and Ayurvedic healing. So we're very grateful to have him. He's 16,000 miles from home, and a huge blessing to me to have him over at our small center and doing the amazing work that he's been doing on people. So our goal is to share with as many people as possible the wonderful news that there's always hope for healing, and the gift that Panchakarma has, actually been given to us through Dr. Shambhu by bringing him to Chicago. So thank you for being here again, Dr. Shambhu.
Thank you, Deborah, for inviting me here.
It's great having you back once again.
Yeah.
Listen, we're going to talk about Ayurveda, but first, before we go into the details of Panchakarma and Ayurveda, tell our viewing audience, in your opinion, how does Ayurvedic healing differ from allopathic medicine?
Well, the main difference is in Ayurvedic medicine, we consider the body as a whole unit. So instead of treating the symptoms, we detoxify the whole body, which both have a physical and a psychological effect. In another word, we call it, we clean the body on the physical level, also on emotional level. So this got a profound impact on the system. So the main difference is it's not a symptomatic treatment, and the treatment lasts for a long time, and the person who received the treatment will go for a passive shift in their life without any instructions. They start to eat the right food, the right habits, right behavior. It all automatically follows.
That's wonderful.
Instead of following an instruction.
So it's a passive way of receiving healing and balancing.
Yeah, yeah. And they don't feel, because the body have a, what you call a rebelling tendency. If you give an instruction, they want to sabotage it.
Right.
So here we have a different procedure after finding the body type and everything, which we explain later. So it's a very passive, natural approach. Body don't find it invasive. So body don't show any side effects or anything.
Right,
So.
right. Well, we'll talk about Panchakarma, which is heaven, actually. It's so funny because it's like once you smell the oils and the herbs involved in the healing process, it's like when you smell them, you're like, like a puppy dog coming to a biscuit. It's just fabulous.
Yeah, I mean, the smells of the oils are very different.
Yeah,
when I
very
first started
pungent.
treatment in Europe, first I went to Milan. And when I did the treatment, I mean, definitely the smells are different from the Western smell, and they don't want to put on oil on the body. But immediately in 2 days' time, nobody even want to wash the oils off because they said they felt so good, so protected. So the oils actually work with the body in order to detoxify the system.
Right.
So the analogy is like putting a cloth in a soap water.
Right.
The oils are cooked in a specific way. It penetrates your system, combined with your toxins, and we have some specific movements and other things to direct these toxins to the natural excretory sites.
So this is Panchakarma.
That's Panchakarma, yeah.
Okay. What are the basic principles that precede Panchakarma in the Ayurvedic healing modality?
Well, the basic principle in Ayurveda we call the Tridosha theory. Three means three, and dosha means these are three energies, and these energies can be easily spoiled. Dosha means something easily spoiled. So three energies we call the Vata, Pitta and Kapha, and every person get these energies at the moment of the conception of the sperm and ova of your father and mother, and that is determined by how is your father, how is your mother, the socio-economic situation, the psychological makeup of the parents. So you get that structure at the moment. And how we can see the energies, I mean these are three energies actually, we can see the energy by looking at the body, because each energies produce a certain physical characters.
Okay.
For example, how they look, the hair, the eye, the kind of energy they're generating out, the way they walk, the way they speak. So we look at everything. Then we can classify the people into three categories.
So what are the three energies?
Well, the first energy we call the Vata.
Vata?
Yeah, this is normally, this energy control all your intellectual functions. The second energy we call Pitta, which control all your energy production. And third we call the Kapha, which is your infrastructure. So to speak in a simple terms, in a single cell of your body, the intelligence of the cell is given by the Vata. The energy production, say metabolism, is controlled by the Pitta. And of course you need some material to hold the intelligence and the energy. This is given by the Kapha. And we call in a balanced individual, these Vata, Pitta and Kapha should stay 1:1:1 balance. This is an ideal system. So this person is always balanced in any situation.
Are they born balanced then, or do they obtain that through the treatments?
Some people are born balanced, which is possible. It depends on accidentally or the parents are following very good diet and routines and they're free from stress levels. So it's possible. But the balancing is once a person understands the body type, like we tell them, okay, you have belong to this category, and there are some specific procedure, a daily routine, simple thing they can follow in their daily life to balance it. So they know that they are belong to that category, they to do something
to stay in balance.
Balance, yeah, because they tend to go to the original situation.
Well, I know that I'll do a dosha questionnaire on all the new clients that come into my office, and occasionally I'll see people who have a very nice split ratio of Vata, Pitta, Kapha.
Yeah.
So they're not too far off center then, right?
No, not too much, but there is a problem in these questionnaires. You know, most of the Ayurvedic books, they have the questionnaires now, and people fill up these questionnaires and they think it's something different there. So I tell the people, I mean, this is your genetic constitution. One is your genetic constitution. So it can be, you know, what we call a Vata dominant or Pitta dominant or Kapha dominant.
Right.
Of course, the Vata, Pitta and Kapha always stays together. You can't split it.
Right.
When we say Vata means Vata is dominant, and the other two doshas or energies are less and least.
Right.
So
we all have all the energies.
All the
Nobody has just one. You just have a dominant and a secondary and then a tertiary. Okay.
And the second is, you can be in a phase. For example,
having a bad phase. What does that mean?
Coming to you, you got a Kapha dominance, Kapha structure.
Okay.
So you have more a soft approach and soft nature and everything. Suppose you are not having enough sleep, you are flying, changing different time zones, food is not good. You automatically come to a Vata phase. You behave like a Vata person, which means that you become more irritable, your sleep is less, you become hypersensitive, hypervigilant, you develop constipation. So that is a Vata phase. You are not a Vata type. Due to circumstances, you are in a Vata phase. So if you take a rest or something, you come back to the
your original
thing.
Okay.
So if you are in a Vata phase and then you look at this questionnaire and then you start to fill it up, so you start to tick what is happening now, which may not be right.
Got it.
So we look, diagnosis, that's the main thing.
So how do you diagnose people?
It's in 4 levels. First, of course, we look at the body types, because Vata, Pitta and Kapha, I told you, produce certain characters.
Okay.
Simple thing is, you know, Vata people are very thin people. I mean, in that area, for example, when we talk about Chicago, thin people on the Chicago standards. And the medium people are more Pitta type, more athletic looking, more active type. Kapha people are more contoured, you can't see any bones or anything, more, you know, rounded structure.
That's a nice way to put it. We're more contoured.
Yeah. So, well, they can get obese from that point.
Watch it. Yeah. Okay.
So, so we look at that thing. So first is the physical thing. Second is we want to know where they live, because we classify the land into Vata, Pitta and Kapha. For example, a city, you know, is an active place. We call a Pitta place. So if somebody lives on a city, it's a place of stimulation. So eventually it drains a person out. So they feel depleted at the end. Somebody lives on a countryside, it's a quiet place, but it produces stagnation on the mind and body. Somebody lives on the suburbs, it produces, they see the possibilities of a city, advantages there, they see the quietness of the countryside, and they are in the middle, so it produces an ambivalence in the system. So each place where you live, for example, if you live more than 6 months or 1 year in either of these places, you acquire the characters of the place.
Interesting.
For example, a Pitta person living in a city will be more Pitta, which means that they become hyperactive.
Crazy.
With a little provocation, they become violent.
Yes.
I mean, physically or verbally.
Yeah.
A Kapha person, which is a quiet person, living in a countryside, may feel more stagnated.
So a Kapha person living in the city would probably do well, because it would keep them a little more active.
Yeah.
Whereas a Pitta person living in the country would do better because it would calm them down a little bit. Okay.
Right.
Where should a Vata person live?
Well, Vata person definitely looking for So it's better to have a commuting. Well, the best thing is to have a Vata person to go for a quiet place.
Okay.
But the problem with the Vata and Pitta people is they are always looking for a stimulation or change. Vata people want to change always. They change the job. I mean, talking about the abnormal or negative Vata types. Change the job, the places, relationship, everything they want to change. Pitta people are looking for stimulation or drive, challenging or confrontation. You can call it on any level. Kapha people want to be more quiet and introvert and don't disturb me, leave me alone. Type of. So anyway, we look where they live because it affects their characters.
Okay, so we look at their
That's the body type. Second, where they live.
Their living environment.
Yeah. The third is we have age group, because we have 3 age groups from 1 to 16. 16-year-old is like it's a growing period. We call it Kapha period.
Okay.
And at that time, they have more Kapha diseases. So if a Kapha type person on the Kapha period have more problems.
Okay.
From 16 to 60 is a middle age, so it's a more fiery period. You know, it's an active phase of life.
16 to 60.
60, yeah.
Wow.
It can be even up.
Okay.
You know, depends on the type.
That's Pitta.
Yeah, Pitta type. And above 60 is a Vata type people, or Vata will comes in. So, you know, it's aging and other problems of aging.
Okay.
The last is we have a pulse diagnosis.
Okay.
Well, it's actually in Sanskrit we call the Nadi.
Nadi?
Nadi is the actual term. It's called Nadi Pariksha. Pariksha means examination. So, what we do is we're not counting the heartbeat. So normally we take the radial artery and we visualize the artery as a tube. And suppose this is an artery.
Right.
And I put 3 fingers on the top of the artery.
Vata, Pitta, Kapha?
Yeah, the index fingers represent the Vata, the middle finger is a Pitta, and the ring finger is a Kapha.
Okay.
So normally we take around, say, 1 to 1.5 inch from the base here, and we put the 3 fingers on the artery.
Okay.
And then we have to know on which finger you get the beat.
The strongest pulse.
Strongest pulse. So suppose if you are a Vata type, if you are a Vata face, if your mind is thinking you are a little bit irritated or anything, we get a Vata beat. If you're
I'm not irritated, but I'm Vata.
It's like if you are
I'm thinking right now.
Yeah, yeah. It's like a mental activity. You know, there are different ways of explaining it. If you are very active, energetic, so we call it you're a Pitta face. If you're quiet, relaxed, lethargic, you know, everything come to that balance level, we call it a Kapha place.
So you could actually, on a great day, have a completely balanced Vata, Pitta, Kapha pulse, right?
Normally, we have to check the pulse in the early morning.
Okay.
So we don't have that possibility because
first thing
people
in the morning?
come. Yeah.
Okay.
So the pulse will tell you the exact situation. So for example, in treatment, when people come to me as for the diagnosis, when I check the pulse, if it's high, for example, I have to detect. Sometimes Vata is very high. So I ask him, you're driving or it's a bad traffic, or you're walking or running.
Right.
So I have to detect all that influences.
Got it.
Then I have to calm down.
Okay.
So actually we check the pulse to see what's happening inside. For example, when we look at a person, you know, the system can mimic. A person look very quiet. Everybody develop a mask in order to survive in a particular society. It's automatic. It comes there. So a person look very quiet and serene in the face. It doesn't mean that inside is quiet.
Right, right.
So
Still
we have
waters
to check
run
the
deep.
pulse. Yeah. So the pulse will exactly tell you what's happening inside.
Well, if I could just interject something, the most amazing thing about this, the pulse diagnosis in Ayurveda, is that it is always right on the money, completely accurate. I mean, there's no guesswork with it.
Yeah.
And if you take someone's pulse and you say, you know, is something aggravating you right now? Are you having a disturbance at home or whatever? Because their pulse is indicating it. Absolutely, that's the truth. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
So you know they're in a phase. Okay.
Yeah. Actually, pulse will give you also your status of your organs, your function of the body, internal organs.
What does the Vata represent? The mind?
Yeah, all the nervous system.
Okay,
but
the
we
nervous
classify
system.
the Vata into 5 divisions,
Oh, really?
Pitta into 5 divisions, and Kapha into 5 divisions. To speak simply, for example, coming to heart or liver, the Vata indicates a nervous connection to the heart. Pitta indicates the energy production, the metabolism in the cardiac muscles. Kapha indicates the structure of the muscles,
Got it.
the quality of the muscle.
Strength.
So every organ got these 3 energies there. So we can see how it operates.
Interesting.
And it's divided into two levels. Normally for females we check on the left side because we call it left side is a feminine side, and the right is a masculine side.
Okay.
So checking normally for the female we check the left side and male on the right side. But we also check both sides. For example, coming to you, I check the left side to see what's happening to your inside your body. This gives you a metabolism. Internal, what's happening in your organs and everything. We also check the right side. So the right side is a masculine side, and you are a concentrated female energy. You know, outside is a masculine. I mean, that's a concept. So checking your right side give the information. How is your relationship with the outside? To say more specifically, if your right side, I'm having a Vata pulse, this means that you don't trust your outside. You don't trust the society.
I'm Kapha Pitta.
Yeah, which means that Pitta means you trust the society. I'm talking a macro level. It can be macro and micro. And Kapha means you're kind of detaching from the society, or you're kind of fed up with the society. So I mean, we check with these things in order to see from where the problems are coming from. There can be stress can come from outside, accumulate into the body, and show us a problem, you know. So if the problems are from outside, then what we do is we do some Kapha balancing procedures, because Kapha, as I told you, is like your infrastructure. It's like an armor around you. It's like it's eroded or there's holes in it.
So let's say, for instance, I take my pulse on the left side and I'm very Vata. Would that indicate that more of my energy is concentrated in this area and the rest is shut down?
No. On the left side, if I get a Vata, means first of all, this is an indication that your metabolism is erratic. Sometimes you are very high, sometimes you are very low. Some, you know, like you work to the point of exhaustion, then you collapse.
Crash.
So it's kind of an up and down graph. Second thing is you have a possible, I mean, there's a constipation there. Skin is dry.
I'm fine.
Okay.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah. And mentally, you are more sensitive to hypersensitive. You're getting very irritable. Mind is running very fast. I mean, you are not reaching to some conclusions.
So, for instance, if I find I'm really Vata right now because I'm really concentrating on what you're saying and you know what's going on, then when I leave here, if it comes back down to more Pitta Kapha, that means that I'm just into a Vata phase because I'm thinking a lot or concentrating.
You're doing a work here.
Interesting.
Also, Vata indicates more of a joint problem. Like if person have any problem in the joints or arthritic or rheumatic complaints. You know, there's a problem with the mobility.
So could you digress just for a moment and tell our viewing audience about the feel of the pulse? Like the Vata pulse is...
Well, it's like we have a... What we do is, I told you, we visualize artery as a tube. And we put the finger on the top. First information is, I mean, we have to know from where you get the beat. The second is, we have to know how the blood is moving inside that. I told you, we are not counting the heartbeat here. So in the Vata beat means it's like the movement of a snake. And so, I mean, it's everybody can develop it after checking. Put the finger and see how the blood is moving. Just visualize artery as a tube and you can see that. If this move like a movement of a snake means
Vata.
Metabolism is erratic and they're constantly changing. And in a Pitta state, it's like a high metabolism. It's like they're burning out, you know. So it's like an upward jumping of a frog. So you get a strong beat on the middle finger.
Like a big pulse,
Yeah, which means that it's like a car on a neutral gear. Instead of idling, it's accelerating.
Got it.
So a Pitta person, for example, you're a Pitta type, suppose, and I'm checking your pulse. Your pulse is like you're walking.
Yeah, it's like boing to boing to boing.
Yeah, very fast. And they're constantly burning. It's like the abnormal Pitta means it's like a military on the border, constantly on a high alert situation. It means they're burning down.
High alert, not good.
No, that's not good, So with a little provocation, they react in an exaggerated fashion. Coming to the Kapha type, pulse is like a very walking of a duck or an elephant. This is they use very slow. Which means that the metabolism is slow. So again, we look at the other factors, the type and many other things to see that.
So when somebody's starving, I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, but when somebody's starving, for instance, would they go into a Kapha phase or do they have to be totally anorexic? Because sometimes when people are really hungry, they become really Vata as well.
When somebody is starving, I mean, or actively starving or passively, either way, it's a Vata state.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And only when the body shuts down does it become kapha?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's an anorexic state is a vata state.
So let's go on to panchakarma real quick.
Yeah.
How do you balance the doshas for a normal person?
Well, once we find out if it's a vata type person, vata people are constantly moving and looking for a stimulus, moving. They want to change all the time. For example, in an office, when you look, the vata person constantly get from the chair and walking around and coming back. They can't sit in one point. So if you find it's a vata person, the simple procedure is we tell them, of course, they need more of a calming procedures. So they can meditate some, they can hear some soft music. We tell them after 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the evening, don't take any stimulants.
Okay.
They have to reduce the stimulants. We tell them to apply the oil on the body, take massages, which also produce sort of an insulation on their system, so they're not going to be stimulated by the outside triggers.
Okay.
So, and they have to stay in a warm environment, take warm foods, easily digestible food, nothing cold.
And vatas love salads.
Vatas love salads.
They love cold food. It's amazing.
Yeah. And it makes them more vata.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they have to take cooked foods and kind of sweet, salt, and sour food in a moderate basis.
Okay.
And they have to, don't expose to cold winds and while driving, wind is blowing on the face. This is also not good.
Okay.
So these are the general procedures. And then we tell them to put oil on the body, like a plain sesame seed oil on the body every evening. Just apply all over the body, then take a warm shower. It's enough for a vata to calm down a vata person.
What about a pitta person?
Pitta people are kind of quite active type. They're looking for confrontation. So they have to know that with a little stimulation or provocation, they just want to go for an action. So this is a pattern in them. So they have to know that first. So if there is a provocating situations, they have to actively move out of it. That's one thing. Second is in a pitta state, they crave a lot of sweet sugar.
Right.
Sweet. Because they're burning out and the system look for something, it's a glucose for the fuel.
Right.
At that point, they crave for chocolates. So if they take chocolate, refined sugar, it's like putting petrol into fire. They burn even more. So a pitta person have to take a lot of salads, which means they have to take a low-calorie, high-fiber diet. So they're not going to burn more. And it's like your fire, you put a wet wood into it.
Right.
So they have to take more salads, more sweet fruits, because they still need sweet. But instead of a fast-burning sugar, they can go for fruit sugar, which is slow-burning.
Okay.
Just to cater their mind, they can have a piece of chocolate or something, because we have to cater that.
Okay.
Otherwise, they'll go for it.
And then kappas?
Kapha people need more stimulation, so it's better that they go for more outing things, like with the friends who are more extrovert, go to the places, stimulating situation, wear more warm colors, hear fast music. The food can be more spicy food.
Okay.
More strong
more
massages on the
provocative
body.
type actions.
Yeah, more outgoing things, which is good for them. Otherwise, they stagnate and they gain weight, and they worry about their figure.
Right.
Like kind of a very,
I know. Kapha being I am. So we have only 5 more minutes. I know it goes really fast. So let's follow up with panchakarma.
Yeah.
The healing modality, which I absolutely am the biggest fan of, because it's created huge changes in my life, and you again have been using this on so many of our clients over at Healing Quest Center with amazing results. So tell our viewing audience about panchakarma. What is it? Why would they do it? And what can they expect as far as results?
Well, in treatment, we follow 3 procedures. First is if you find a person, we tell them, okay, you follow a daily routine, like something in diet and what time they have to wake up and things like that, some common sense things.
Right.
And second is, if it's not working, we tell them, okay, go for the medicines. We give them herbal medicines. But in most of the cases, everybody already developed a pattern in their thing. They constantly sabotage their system because nobody is stupid. Everybody know that, okay, what good food, what is bad food, but why people constantly eat junk food. Okay, they have many excuses, like, they have no time, this and that. But beyond that point, there's a pattern in their system. They're constantly sabotaging themselves.
Their life, right, their
life.
bodies.
So they constantly repeat the same thing over and over again, even if they know that is bad. So panchakarma is to unwind the whole procedure, the whole pattern, same. So here what we do is, we are actively intervene into the system. I mean, what we do is we start the massages, kind of oleation with the with the oils, and the oils go into the system by osmosis, very specific oils. Disintegrate the toxins. Toxins can be anything, can be metabolic waste or environmental toxins. So the peripheral toxin pass through your sweat and urine. The deep toxin can be heavy metals and other things start to come to the lower part of the intestine. To remove that, we use an implant of oil. So we call vasti. So for communication, I can use the word enema, but here we are not using the enema for constipation or anything.
Right. Just to pull toxins out of the lower
Yeah, so we
colon.
give an oil infusion
Okay.
to the rectum. So the oil will stay there. These people can go for work and everything. You know, I have people here in Chicago, they are lawyers working in the trade floors, in the stockbrokers. So they have oil in the stomach and they go for working. So it stays there. They don't feel anything.
Right.
It don't come out. And it stays there and it absorbs the toxins. Because these toxins are organic in nature. It's a fat-based thing. We need a fat solvent. Water can't do that. So we need oils. It's like cleaning grease with petrol, you know.
Right.
So it stays there, it absorbs the toxins. And it comes out after 2 hours or 5 hours, and it's not an explosion or anything, it comes out very slowly.
Okay.
And when it comes out, only the oil will come out. So we are not at all talking about constipation. Yeah.
Okay.
So this we do, and this is we call the removal of the physical toxins. Then we go for the removal of the emotional toxins. So at that part, what we do is after the massage and everything, we cover the body, cover the eyes. We have oil falling on the third eye.
Have you ever met anybody who doesn't have emotional toxins? Just kidding. We've only
Everybody
got 1
have.
minute here, so.
So what we do is when the oil fall here, it produces a deep alpha state in your brain.
Right.
And they start to passively release all that emotional stuff.
I know. It works.
So, and it is passive, and we call it an emotional garbage. We don't want to know from where it's coming from, how it came from. It just can go out.
Because in Ayurveda, there's the firm knowledge that we know the physical body and the psychological and the emotional are all tied in together. They are not separate.
Yeah.
So you have to release the emotional angst, and the spiritual then becomes lighter.
Yeah, because as long as these emotions are there, we call it, when you see or hear something, you go back to your archives and hook to these emotions, then you repeat the same thing over and over again.
Which we don't want to do.
Yeah, so we flush out these emotions, so then they immediately, we call it, we make the past neutral to make the future neutral. So they're not going to be hooked by these emotions.
Well, thank you, Dr. Shambhu. This was great. It goes so fast when we have you. So if you'd like more information on Panchakarma and Ayurvedic healing and or Dr. Shambhu, you're welcome to give us a call, and we'll be happy to answer whatever questions you have. But in the meanwhile, start doing Panchakarma on yourself at home. We'll send you some information on that as well. And until we see you again, I'm Deborah Arneson bringing you Health Quest. Take good care of your health till next week. Good night. Thank you for being here.